All right, hey everybody, how's it going? Dr. Keith here. Happy Wednesday, December 2nd. How's everyone doing today? All right, good, Kim. Good to see you. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving, everybody. I know these are some unique times in our history, but hopefully you at least be able to be thankful for what you do have at this point. Okay. All right, so let me just double check, make sure this is being recorded. Perfect. Perfect. And I assume you can, hey, Daryl, good to hear you here. I assume you can see my Thinkorswim charts. Perfect, Carrie. Okay. So first and foremost, just want to say, thank you to you all the best wishes with Thanksgiving and just a lot of you that have been adopting my principles. I've had a lot of nice emails lately, and I always appreciate that, good or bad, okay? But lately there's been a lot of, thank you for your teachings and so forth. And I appreciate that because, I have a trading system that I use that's been working for years, but it's always good when others can profit from it as well. So with that, I got a lot of emails on Hakanachi. So I know a lot of you purchased that indicator and I hope you're enjoying that. I think it is a phenomenal way to really stay in a trade. And that's what we've all struggled with over the years, right? Is, okay, I'm happy I got my profit and then it runs for 2 more months on you or 2 weeks or whatever the case is. And that's when you need to maximize your profits, and that Hakanachi dot, right? It'll give you 80% on average of the entire move from that Laguerre to the end of the trade. And that's really phenomenal. So again, hope you're all enjoying that. All right, so with that, when we talked a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned that more than likely when we meet again, will the stock market be lower or higher? Does anybody remember? I know a lot of you who drank a lot of alcohol and ate too much food, but does anybody remember? Yes, Alex, higher, right? Why? Because I'm smart? No, probably not. In fact, if you talk to my kids, that's definitely not the case. But because the probabilities from a seasonal perspective, with over 95% probability, the market would be higher, right? So what do? I look for triggers during that time frame only to the long side when you're talking about stocks and options, okay? So, that's where I can have the argument with any trader in the world and say that seasonality can be useful. It doesn't mean you have to trade just like I do. It doesn't mean that seasonality will work every time. It certainly doesn't. But when you see some of these probabilities and statistics, no matter how you trade, that can be useful, right? I mean, I'm still in that SPY trade, okay? And I'm in the futures ES. And it's always fun now. When am I going to get out of the rest of my trade? When I get a red dot. That's right. So anyway, as you can see from the chart here, we hit highs yesterday, very predictable. We also have retailer traders in the world that are still net short the market. And unfortunately for them, they're almost always wrong, right? So we're dribbling higher. And I do think at some point we're going to get a bigger pullback. I really do, but I'm not seeing it yet. I'm just not seeing it yet. Okay, so whether you're looking at the ES, the YM, the NQ, okay, I suspect though they're all going to continue to use higher. Scott, you absolutely can use micros. I don't, but you can. Okay, I mean, they're going to follow the same pattern, exact same pattern, just 1/10 the price, right? So less risk. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about crude. Okay, let me blow it up just a tad. So from a seasonal, it's a little sideways, but again, what I tell people for biases, when you see this red forecasted line, right? If you draw it from left to right, it's pointing upward. So I'm looking for mainly longs at this point, big picture, okay? Big picture, looking for longs. And, when we had that long play in November 4th, again, if you took it, okay, you just potentially are getting out today. The reason I say potentially is This dot could still change colors today until the close. Okay, once the new bar opens up, then this paint will never change, obviously, right? So this is just a good example I want to show you that this is potentially, when the market closes tonight on crude, right, it'll be 5 o'clock Eastern for crude. When the new bar opens up, if that stays red, that's my exit point. Okay. So again, when I say 80% of the move, if you got in right here, so let's say you got in when the Laguerre triggered, you got the green dots, you get in right here. Okay, you made this in profits. Would you have gotten out here maybe if you didn't have Hakanachi? Maybe, right? And that's where I can tell you I'm super excited about having the best year next year going forward from a profit standpoint, because you know, typically what I would do, folks, in the past is get out when it hits the top band, okay? And what I do is I reduce risk when I hit the top band. I take off some profits, but then I stay into the trade until I get a green dot. I'm sorry, in this case, a red dot, okay? And again, as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago in my other webinars, I consider the Hakanachi dot, you know, like my wife, because she's the more level-headed, relaxed, Keith, you know, type person. And that's what Hakanachi is, okay? It's just going to give you a lot more opportunities to stay in that trade, okay? And if it goes against us, okay, so when we got in here, let's say you got in here, let's say this yellow dot right here, okay, which means you had 1 day Hakanachi reversal. If we would have got a second, this yellow dot would have been red, okay? Then I would have got out. And that would have been a small loss, okay? But notice how I say that would have been a small loss. So now you've got your risk determined that, hey, if I get in and it doesn't work out, when I get a red dot, I'm just going to get the hell out. There's no reason to stay in. We'll make money the next day or the next week or whenever it gives us an opportunity, right? And then if this would have been a red dot, you could have got back in again when you got your next green Hakanachi. Okay, so again, crude oil at this point now, you know, it's kind of consolidating. I want to see a retracement before I would look to go back to the long side. All right, now let's talk about one of my favorite trades of the year. How many of you been keeping an eye on gold? Any of you? So as you can see, very interesting pattern. Let me get the chart up to right now. That'd be helpful. Okay. So this is gold in the futures market, right? We had a yellow dot right here yesterday because the Hakanachi had an indecision, but it was green, okay? But then today, if it closes like this, remember, this could still change this green, okay? Over the next 2 or 3 hours. It probably won't, but it could. But anyway, so my point there is though, is now what am I looking for? Okay, the Laguerre is right at that, just below the 20%, the 0.2. Okay, but I have a green dot, and if I have a green Hakanachi at the end here, you know, this could be my gold, my start of my gold trade. Okay, which is perfect timing, right? You can also look at some of the ETFs. What are some of your gold ETFs, folks? I can look at them for you. So, you know, you can see GLD is already triggered here if it closes like this today. And very interesting enough, we have a Dr. K combo, right? Those arrows there. So what do you think? Is that about as good as it potentially gets with this seasonal move coming? I mean, I like it, right? And again, if I got into this trade, I would keep it until I got a red dot, okay? So Jim, if you're trading GC, you know, again, that's just, you got to be okay with the risk, obviously. But what I look for in this case, you know, my stop is below this low here, okay? In this case, because if it reverses, I don't, you know, I'll look to get back in. But you got to give gold some room, okay? And so that's where I would put my stop right below 3 days ago wick here, okay? I like trading Nugget. It's a leveraged ETF. That is a big stop, absolutely. This is a 90% probability trade. Okay, so Nugget, you got the combo, it's on its way, right? So good potential trade on NUGT. I'm actually going to look at this, and I don't know which one I want to do first from an option standpoint. I don't know if I want to do NUGT, GLD. I like them both. Yes, Jeff, great point, right? So Jeff will use the actual like gold miners like AEM. So let's take a look at it. So this triggered yesterday from the green dot, and you had the Laguerre, right? So if you got in off of that yesterday, right, you got in at the open right here, you know, currently up a little bit, but yeah, that's a great one to trade as well. That's the cool thing about gold, right? There's a lot of different ways to trade it. If you have a place outside the US, you can even trade it in the FX markets, right? So anyway, gold is here. Nothing's guaranteed if this becomes a false trigger, because if somebody said, what is my only concern on this? You know, we were in a pretty massive a pretty aggressive downtrend here since November. Okay, what I typically like to do is wait for the second trigger, make sure we have higher lows before I get into gold. But what I'm going to be doing is half my size. That way, if it reverts, then I can get back in, you know, if it's a higher low. Okay, but because of the high probability over the next 2 months that gold's going higher, okay, I'm taking this initial trigger. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Let's bring up. Where is that sucker? Dollar index. So again, we're dollar index. We're big picture. We're looking for more of a short play until week of January 25th, right? And so you can see here, we've also been in this downtrend. So again, if you took this short, by the way, folks, back on November 5th, you're still in this trade based off these rules, right? And that's the cool thing, okay? And you say, I'm sorry, you got in here. Let me regress. If you took this trigger here, okay, you would have got in at the open of this bar right here. And this is a perfect example. Then you would have got out on the green dot, okay? So you basically have almost a break even trade. Then you can wait and re-enter right here on 1116. Okay, so that's a good example. What I'm using Hackenacci for is that if the first one doesn't work, or if you make a little bit or lose a little bit, but I still like it short, nice seasonal short, right? Once we get that red dot again, then we're all in again. Okay, you just don't know how big the moves are going to be, right? We just hit a low today, recent low on the dollar index there. Okay, interesting enough, in fact, let me put Bitcoin in here. We have a comment about Bitcoin. So I actually want to start talking about this more. So you can see on Bitcoin, if you really wanted to be retired at this point, if you got in on the green dot right here, you're still in this trade, folks. You see that? That's a beauty. I was looking at this yesterday. And here's the thing though, this happened about 3 years ago around the Christmas holiday. I know people that took mortgages out to buy Bitcoin. Okay, and then what did it do? It crashed. Does that mean that's what it's going to do again? We don't know. But let me tell you this. The information I've got that I've done research on, it hasn't been around real long, right? But January and February are a seasonal short at this point of the data I have on Bitcoin. So are we running up to have a pretty quick downward? I'm not really sure. All I know is that if you're in this trade or you're doing a Bitcoin stock trade, you probably still want to be in this at this point, okay? There's plenty of money out there for traders to put into Bitcoin and gold, in my opinion. You know, I know a lot of hedge funds and that have a lot of money on the sidelines still, so. Oh, so Alan's got the eagle eyes. He just mentioned, so I see you got these squares, right? So I got circles, I got squares. I don't like a lot of indicators, but so what I have is here, this is just an ADX. And again, you can get any ADX indicator just from your edit studies. But what I did is I just programmed it to give me the current value here And then if the ADX is over 25, give me green. If it's in the middle, give me yellow. And then if it's less than 15, give me red. I just do that so I can see that, you know, Bitcoin is trending, is all that's telling you. So you've got green dots and green squares. That's a good situation to be in. I like colors, okay? Okay, so let me see. The other good question, you guys, you're putting me on my toes today. What do you think about using the weekly red dot on BTC for a longer swing term? Yeah, so I mean, I'll look at, so this is the weekly, right, with the seasonal. And you can see here, we've had a green dot on the weekly since 10/12. So when you have the daily and the weekly dots matching up, you know, that's how you can have these explosions. If I would have had a red dot here, you know, I'm not quite as concerned because I'm trading off the daily. But because sometimes it takes longer for the weekly to move, right? Because there's more data points. But when you have green and green and you have a seasonal, you know, so let me go back to the crude to kind of demonstrate that point. So you can see here, crude gave us the weekly Hackenacci green on 11/16, okay? And then we've been green since 11/4, right? So it took about a week later, but we were yellow the week before. So that makes me happy to see yellow as well, saying that we had a reversal candle and there it went, okay? Okay, let me see, what else do I like here I want to talk about? So I know a lot of you can't trade palladium, but on my alert, I just want to show you, I know I have it in here. Where is it? Maybe I don't, I just have PL. Let me bring up palladium. It's just some phenomenal seasonal moves this time of year. And so, you know, when we get these perfect opportunities right here, okay, green dots, we had yellow dots, okay. I took this Laguerre trigger. My only concern was that I could get stuck in a little bit of a range initially because the ADX was red here, okay? So I did half of my normal size. But in saying that, you know, I got in right here. You can see where I drew the line for you all, okay? I took partial profits up here, and now I'm gonna, you know, then I have my stop at break even, so it could come down and get me. This can be pretty volatile. I just wanna show you how I manage this, okay? I took partial profits up here, and now I got a break even stop on my other contract. As long as my stop doesn't get hit, I'm going to stay in this until I get a red dot, okay? And that's how I trade that. Platinum, you can make a lot of money. I'm hoping this continues much higher now as, you know, silver and gold are all starting to trigger, right? Silver looks amazing as well. It's actually stronger right now than, in my opinion, than gold. We have that silver trigger as well. So if you're a silver trader instead, you know, now's the time probably to look to enter that as well. We have a yellow ADX because it's at 21.48 right now on the daily. We do not have the weekly aligned yet, though. More than likely, going into next week, we might get a yellow, you know, a yellow dot, though. Okay. So Jim says, so for my clarity, you get in on the second green dot during the day. Okay, so the way I trade, let's use this as an example. Okay, and you can always vary it, right? I'm just telling you how I do it. So today's the day that the actual Laguerre, okay, is triggering today, right? You see how it's above the green? So if it closes today, because today's still going on, right? Anything can happen, but if it still closes, if it closes above the 0.2, and I'll have my green dot, then my entry is the start of the next bar, which in silver and futures, that would be tonight at 6 o'clock. Okay, that would be my actual entry. Now, can you go in like right now? Of course you can, right? I mean, you're following most of the rules, right? Or, you know, if you know there's a great seasonal, you may get in at the close of a yellow. Just remember, you know, it's a little bit more riskier, right? So, you know, there's three ways of entering like that. The safest, securest way is to wait for the bar to close. When the next bar opens, then that's your entry. Okay. Have I broken that rule? Of course I have. But I document that as well. So, okay, let's see here. When you say red dot, explain what red dot are you talking about, Jim? Oh, if you're talking about off the weekly, again, I'm okay with that. I just a 10 out of 10 trade, this would already have been green. Okay. Well, the reason it isn't is you can see, silver, just like gold, had a move down recently. And my theory on that is that happens a lot because then you're just going to get a better price on the seasonal long coming up. Okay. SLV, Scott, I like SLV. Yeah, and so if you're in this trade, okay, you can eliminate risk at any point and so forth, but when I would exit, the rest of my position would be the next red dot at the close. That's correct. So when the bar, when the new bar opens up, you have one red dot there. That's when I get out. Okay. The only difference would be if I got out at a yellow dot would be if I was at brand new highs or I had divergence, then I might get out a bar, a dot early. Okay, not to complicate things though, but you'll be just fine if you just wait for the bar, the dot to change color. Okay, so let's take a look at the VIX. So you can see the VIX, we've had a Laguerre move back down, the red dots. That's why the markets continue higher. We are seeing some of the volatility, the trending, I guess I should say, going yellow at 19. So the markets are relaxed right now, not super excited about anything. And that's great for seasonality. Okay, we love that for seasonality. So I suspect we'll just continue higher here, at least for a while. Euro US dollar, you can see we hit, again, new recent highs today. So if you took the Laguerre trigger here, it was also a combo. You got in and went sideways. You basically got out. Looks like here a little bit of a loss. Okay. But then you want to go back long. You got 2 more bars, 3 more bars, and you get your entry that you're still in. Okay. So this is where it's improved for me versus waiting for that Laguerre to dip all the way back down. If you have a good seasonal move, you can just get right back in when the dot changes. Okay. Let's look at another gold stock because I know a lot of you are looking to trade a gold play. Just bringing up FNV, and absolutely, that's another good one. Great seasonal move. Let's see what this did last year. It probably triggered early last year. Let's see here. Make this smaller. Okay, so the trigger was actually in January, right here. You made a nice move. You got 1 red dot right here, so you would have got out here. Then you could re-enter 2 bars later to get that move. Yeah, so it is what it is. Seasonality is not something I made up. I wish it was me, because that would be pretty cool. I've just studied it and found ways to trade it over the last 12 plus years. Thanks for that one. That's a good one. Yeah. Okay, let me see if there's anything else I'm missing. Oh, bonds. Let me talk about bonds a little bit. So again, bonds triggered short today at the close today. It looks like it'll trigger short. Okay. We don't have a lot of trending right now. It's red. And we do have another, till the end of the year kind of short play. So if you like trading bonds, I'd only be looking to go short, and I think it's just kind of ranging to the downward. So you could probably get profits down here at the bottom Bollinger Band roughly on this. Yep. Netflix had that nice trigger 4 days ago. Look at the seasonal long on Netflix, right? Is that a beauty? But again, it's not trending at all. It's 13. Okay, so getting in this trade, it does not mean do not get into this trade. What it means is you could get into the trade and it could consolidate for a while. Okay, but when you see this seasonal play, how can you miss out on that fun, right? Especially a stock as well known as Netflix. Okay, let's see here. I think I've got everything I want. NVIDIA, you know, my forecast of the year trade at the beginning of the year, you know, it's gone nicely for us, but you know, we still are there, right? Basically until February, we got the Laguerre, we got the green dots. You know, it's a great re-entry. Okay. I didn't do that in my alert service because it's so expensive. I know a lot of folks can't trade it and they just get mad, but you will be able to at some point. You know, again, NVIDIA is a great long play here. A lot of opportunities, folks, especially if you're just following a good solid system, you can make a lot of money. Okay. Any questions? Let me bring up the, I'm going to bring up the weeklies here today. Let us do its digestion here. And this will continue to expand as it's loading. But anyway, so, you know, what I'm just kind of keeping an eye on is, you know, long triggers that's got a 1.0, you know, so, you know, look at Baidu. I know a lot of you like to trade Baidu. I do, right? ADX is doing well. We got the trigger, which means yesterday was the entry date. Okay, and it's off to the races, right? At least right now it is, right? Again, I wish everything was guaranteed, right? But this should be good through the end of the year into January, okay? The other thing is, you know, seasonal moves can also last longer, right? So once you're in this trade, you're making some profits, you eliminate some risk. Again, people say, when do you get out? When the seasonal window ends? No, you don't have to. You can, or you can just wait for the Hakanachi to tell you when to get out. And that's what I like to do. Okay, that way I don't have to overthink it. And again, you're going to get 80% of the move on average by staying in until the dot changes from green to red. Okay. All right, so we got one on, let's see, CNC. So here's another combo long. We had a nice combo long back here in November as well. And look at CNC, folks. Okay. So we have higher lows, right? This low is higher than this low. We're getting a green dot today with the combo. So as long as it closes like this, okay, this could be another really good opportunity. Agreed? That's why I trade like this. I like to look for high probability opportunities very quickly. Okay. And I mean, this will probably end up making a higher high up here, right? So good opportunity on Centene Corporation. Keep that on your list. Let's see here. So anything else that I'm looking at? We already talked about NVIDIA. Good opportunity there. So Domino's Pizza is one of my favorites. Again, only concern on this trigger back here, right, was the ADX is very low, okay? But, you know, I'm in it to win it in this case, right? We got a really nice play through the Super Bowl. We made a really good money on the earnings play last year. You remember that? So again, good opportunity here in Domino's Pizza as well. One of the things that let's bring up, first of all, is there anything you want me to look at? Type them in, and as I get breaks here, I will absolutely look at some for you. One of the things I'm working on, let me just kind of show you here. I think it's kind of cool. So if I go to the scan tab, okay, I have a Hakanachi scan I'm working on that says yellow to green. So any yellow dots that then change to green will show up here. And why is that valuable? Well, in my opinion, this is an example where when you have a yellow dot on Domino's, like right here, when it goes to green, right? You're not always going to have the Laguerre triggering at the same time because it may be already up here, right? So what I want to know which ones turn from yellow to green, so that if it matches a seasonal play like that, that could be my entry. Okay, so let me run a scan for you here. And I'm doing all symbols, so it might take a couple minutes here. And I'm still testing it, just testing it out, making sure it's working and stuff, okay? So, you know, here's one, for example, Apollo, that's got a Laguerre and a dot change. So let me just put it on here and show you. So there's Apollo. Okay, it doesn't have enough information for the seasonal, but you can see how it went from yellow to green today. Okay, so I think that's pretty cool scan that you can look to see what's triggered, and if it matches a nice seasonal move, then you're good. So I can also sort by 40-day. I just put the 40-day in here as it's still loading, but you can see. Let me bring up something that's got a nice seasonal play. So like DDS, which still amazes me that a store like Dillard's can be around. But anyway, so I took the wrong one. Let's see. It's still moving on me. That's why here, because it's still calculating. Let me just be patient for a minute. There's a lot of stocks that's going through. That's why it's taking like that. So DD, let's take a look at DDS though. So you can see it went from yellow to green, right here. So that's what the scan is showing us. And here's what I'm talking about, where the Laguerre's already moved up, right? It's not down here. So I won't see it on my scan over here, but I'll see it now. So if I like Dillard's based off the seasonal move coming, this could be my entry point, okay? I actually don't love this entry because it is kind of, been the top right here other than this wick. But again, that's what you can scan and look and see, based on that. You can do it for your futures and your Forex as well. So more to come on that. I've been playing with that every day to look to see, what are some of the nice moves coming that we're getting those. And you can do it the opposite way too. You can scan for yellow to red if you're looking to do, short plays. Okay. Okay, so let's see here. One of the things I wanted to talk to you today as well is bringing up something behind the scenes here. Just bear with me. So Priceline, I think I talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago. From a data mining perspective, this thing towards the end of December goes higher. Let me bring up the right instrument for the next 2 to 3 months with 100% probability since it's been around. If I can type it in right, that's the hardest part about making money on this stock. Okay, so as Priceline comes up, maybe. Oh, that's right. Hold on, folks. What I was going to show you was the symbol that's highly correlated to Priceline, but let's bring up VFC. So this thing's gone higher 32 out of 34 years, right around Christmas through March. Okay. So this is one of those examples that I'm talking about that you just keep on your watch list here. And when you get the Laguerre trending back up and you get a green dot, okay, this is a really, really high probability trade, over 95% since the stock has been around. Okay. So keep that on your watch list. Would I love price to come down a little bit more first? Sure, and it may, right? But this is a high probability opportunity coming up. So I get the daily and the weekly just by clicking up here. I got the 2 boxes. Okay, so you can put as many different charts as you want up there. Okay. Okay, so a couple. Let's see here. People want me to take a look at a couple things. PLTR. So again, I don't have seasonal data here, but if you're trading it, you get in. Now, today would be the exit day, okay, when it closes here. Yes, it is. It is, yep. Okay, so, yeah, let's look at the Aussie dollar, okay. So we have the move coming. Typically, the Aussie dollar has always moved pretty well with gold, but not recently. It's been stronger than, I'm sorry, yeah, than gold. So it's been stronger than gold. So I really like this to head much higher once we get moving here. You're getting some indecision. You got two yellow dots, right? And again, I don't like to go in at the top of these bands at the highs of this, but I do like Aussie dollar to go higher here, you know, through December. Then we usually have our pullback before we go higher again, okay? All right, any questions on that? Let me bring up some of the futures for y'all. I'm going to look at, once it's done loading here, I'll look at the next 20 days out. So heating oil typically has a little bit moved down to the end of the year. Is this with a potential entry to go short? Possibly, right? Let that Laguerre get further down. We got the red dot already. Again, you want to put your stop right above the wick there, but you know, I don't like fighting that massive trend. I really don't. Like I would pass on this personally, but we should see at least a retracement to the middle band here. Silver has that nice move we talked about, and it may be starting right now, right? We got a nice move on silver and gold. Everything's looking like it should. Soybean meal. This is a trade I placed on the alert system, and we hit profit target 1 today, where it wicked down and got us. So again, that means I automatically move my stop to break even. And then I'll stay in the rest of the trade as long as I keep that red dot, okay? Those of you that like to trade copper, copper's been, you know, very, very strong, okay? Great move on copper. You know, if you got in on the 5th, you're still in it. Those metals can run. That's why it's fun to get those runners at times. All right, let me check questions here. Yeah, KOS, absolutely. Okay. So KOS, you know, you can see a seasonal perspective, it's to the downside, okay? And now we have the Hakanachi red. We got the Laguerre that triggered yesterday. You know, so again, it's a cheap stock, so you can get a lot of volatility on these. But if I had to, you know, force a position right now, it would definitely be to the short side. Yeah. I don't like fighting these uptrends though. Okay, there's better things to trade. Okay, CX, sure. So here's an example where, you know, we're already in the uptrend and we don't peak until the end of January typically. So the re-entry, you know, is today, but I'm not re-entering at the high, right? So I would ignore this right now, okay? You're also noticing, I call them the Christmas lights. When you're getting a lot of different colors back and forth, probably good to just wait at this point, okay? But right at highs, I'll never go in right at highs. Yeah, Earl, you can email me. Okay, so what else do I want to bring up? Apple. I tried to get in, a little bit of a discount, I didn't get filled, okay? But again, you can see from the perspective here, right? All green, Laguerre triggered, seasonal. It doesn't really get any better than this, okay? So, you know, if you got in, if you got filled, right now you're in it, and you can eliminate some risk if you want. You can just, you know, basically wait until you get a different red dot, okay? I was reading an article the other day. It's funny that they're talking about how, you know, Buffett got out of millions of shares of Apple, and so it's going to go lower, and it may, who knows, right? But there's a lot of volume in Apple. So now that it's split, a lot of people are buying it for holding for long term. I think you can make a lot of money higher on Apple. Okay. All right. Any questions, folks? Again, bullish. There's no reason not to be at this point. Let me bring up the spiders again just to show you. Because we're hitting new highs a lot, though, we can get retracements when it hit new highs. So again, I'm not saying it's going to go straight up. At some point, we are going to have a more substantial move down, but I'm not seeing it yet, right? So, you know, if you got back in here, you got a green dot going back up here today, but again, be careful right at highs. You know, if you got in right here, you're still in the trade, right? Because you don't have a red dot yet, okay? Yes, working on that for TradeStation, absolutely, you bet, you bet. So yeah, so if you're entering on the SPY, there was two, because we've been in a seasonal uptrend, okay? So I've only been looking for long play, Scott. So the entry's right here, okay? You got the Laguerre, the green dots, okay? So you made 80% of this move roughly. If you got out at the red dot, you know, right here, and then you could get in 3 bars later and you're back up again, okay? So 2 entries there. You've got the green dots on the weekly, green Hackenacci dots. So again, I think we're heading higher, folks. We've got retailers shorting this still. We've got the seasonal long play until mid-February. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm focusing on. On the stock market, I'm focusing on long plays. Yes, there are some good seasonal shorts, but I'm kind of going with the flow right now on the long side, okay? All right, well, again, oh yeah, I can look at rig. Let me see. I haven't traded that in a while. So we're about ready to turn back over here in January, okay? So we're turning over in January, but we had a nice combo trigger long with the dots right here. And if you were in it in November, okay, you would have got out right here, November 13th, still made a little bit of money, got back in on the green dot, and there you go, okay? But, you know, once we get to the end of the year, we'll start looking for shorts on rig. Okay. Sure, absolutely. Let me bring up CPRT. Great seasonal long. See that over there? We got the Laguerre trigger. Okay. So if you took it, you're in it. You may get a yellow dot here. You would still stay in the trade. If you get another red candle tomorrow closing, then you say, you know what, I'll exit, make my small win or loss in this case. Let's see. probably a little bit of a loss, then you can get right back in when you get a green dot. Okay, that's how you do it. You don't worry about these small losers. You then get in and you trend for some of the big winners. Okay, BWA, you bet. So BWA is a seasonal long. So at this point now, I'm just waiting to, if you want to re-enter, right? You're looking for that green dot. I'd be more careful on this though. The ADX is really low. We're just ranging. So this wouldn't be one I'd be, Borg Warner, I wouldn't be looking to get into at this point. I'd skip it. Okay. All right, folks. Well, again, look forward to talking to you all next week. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And do I think we'll be higher next week, Wednesday, than we are today? I do. I do think we're going to continue to go higher. So enjoy the bull moves, and I'll talk to y'all next week. Take care now.